Welcome to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. In this segment, Pat and James discuss how well-targeted services with AI can help grow our capacity by taking on the time-consuming tasks such as finding and curating opportunities to pitch our work to, thus freeing us to spend more time on our creative work.
Hey, James.
Yes, go ahead, Pat. I'm here. I've just arrived. I'm a little bit late. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. It's only clock time. Who cares?
Well, you had the door locked to the clubhouse, so I couldn't get in. He's like,
oh, did I lock that? Yeah. You know what? I did. I forgot about that. John's in the meadow.
Yeah. He's in the meadow.
Learning to climbing up here. Huh?
Learning to paint.
Learning to paint. That was okay. James, here I actually have something to ask you about.
Oh.
Yeah. You know the GU credit card statement. I checked it online last night and I saw that you dropped some money on something. 75 buckaroos, and that's US dollars, which is like 100 something Canadian. So can you justify that expense? Can you first explain who they are and then tell me why?
I did get a call from HR.
You crossed the line.
That did not go well. So that's we'll have to talk about that another time.
Yeah, we will.
But no, this $75 is to Chill Subs, which has now a service for short story writers, because now there's something like, at least 100 or, many tens of literary journals out in the world. And they call it their custom lists. It's by Chill Subs, who I think are also connected to SubHub, which is on Substack.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what that means for anybody listening who's not a writer?
So both of those, SubHub and Chill Subs, curate lists of literary journals and I think literary agents as well, for people to submit to. And by curate, they keep information about it, and then you get weekly emails that say, here's 10 agents that are looking for mystery, or 10 agents that are looking for memoir, or 20 literary journals that pay more than $100, or something like that. So it's these curated lists to help writers.
Is it a paid service?
Yeah, it's paid service. So Sub Club on Substack is, I think it's $5 a month.
Okay.
Which I very happily pay. It's well worth the $5.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of trying to find out if you need a separate subscription for Chill Subs.
Okay.
So I will, maybe we can put that in the show notes or something when I find out about that. But so this custom list, you send them a story. Well, you pay your $75. Send them a story. They ask a few questions to kind of get a little bit more about who you are as a writer. And then they take that and turn it into a list of 10 different literary magazines that they feel are a good match for the piece of writing that you've submitted and the kind of writer that you view yourself to be.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And they actually, I did this yesterday. They sent their bounce back email or response email saying they'll get back to me before July 20th. So I expected like July 19th to get something, but I got something today, this morning, which was really kind of cool. And it comes with a brief little memo note. Hi, James. And, it says, as I'm reading this piece, I'm thinking of the concept of wholeness, of cracks and leaks, of one of the characters looking toward the bedroom door as if anticipating a ghostly passerby or an exit. So it shows that they've done at least a little bit of reading.
Yeah.
And then the note goes on to say, for this piece, let's shoot for some themed calls and magazines and maybe focus more on university affiliated journals. They recommend cutting a few hundred words to get it down below 5,000 because 5,000 apparently is a cutoff mark.
Yeah, it is.
So it
Yeah.
opens up to more magazines if you get it down below 5,000. But I don't want to do that. The story's written, it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so then they give you the list of magazines. And the first one is River Styx magazine, which the description United States-based literary magazine founded in 1975 that publishes fiction, poetry, nonfiction, multimedia. It gives a little bit more, tells you the fee. So submission fees tend to be about $3. This one's $3. Gives you their reasoning why they selected it. It says a university affiliated journal that's always in the pushcart rankings. River Styx has some history and is currently open until October 1st for special print issue call. Um, and then, it has notable tags and then submission details so you know how to get there. And then it has another sort of box where it says, fiction genre, maximum words, pay rate, fee, and that kind of thing. And then for some of them, it has the acceptance rate, which
Mm-hmm.
goes as low as 0.82% and as high as 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually gave me a total of 11 magazines.
Mm-hmm. And they did all this in 20 less than 24 hours. So you submitted
Yeah.
a 5,000 plus word story on a Thursday, and you got not just a little bit of what sounds like personal written feedback on what that story evokes, plus the list, plus suggestions like themed calls and cutting it below 5K on the
Yep.
Friday. And that raises a few questions for me, like depending on their volume of people doing what you're doing, which is paying the
Uh-huh.
$75 to get this personal list or custom list. Who the fuck is available to read a story the day it comes in?
I know. Well, and that raises the question, how much AI are they using?
It
And I
does.
did send them an email asking that, and I haven't
Uh-huh.
gotten a response back yet.
I'm
Um,
just very, very interested. And if they do use AI, then are they feeding your story into an AI engine? In which case, there goes your intellectual property. So, I mean, I'm sure they're
yeah,
not, but I'd
yeah.
be very curious.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I assume that they are. AI right now has gotten to the state where you can use it without having to submit into some giant thing that's going to steal your intellectual property.
Ah, okay, good. I didn't know that.
So it's whether they're using that or not, I'm not sure. So maybe
We don't
that's a
know.
pretty important question to ask.
Yeah.
I assume there's a certain level of AI that could be, if I were to do it, I would definitely use AI, and it would be very specific within that database,
Hmm.
as opposed to something like GPT or GTP, something like that.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, where that's more generalized, right?
Yeah, the large language learning
So,
model, it wouldn't be that. It
yeah,
would be
yeah,
something that they already have going on, and then they've just like their
right,
database that they
right.
that's what they make their living off of is this database,
Mhm.
and then they might have integrated some really good search tools and maybe the personal feedback is from an actual person. That
Yeah,
would be
the
great.
feedback does feel like an actual person, because there was another personal note because I had asked another question that they responded to. So,
Okay.
but personally, I'm more interested in getting the value out of this, which is learning where are some likely targets for me to send this story. And so I have not sent it yet to any of the magazines that are suggested. So I'm gonna do that. We'll see what happens,
Yeah.
and we can report back on that. There is a very big question about the AI. I don't have a problem with it if I'm going to get what I need and I'm not going to find my story, somewhere else.
Yeah.
That would be a huge red flag issue of
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but no, and it is a little pricey. I mean, $75 for 10 magazines is not chump change.
Yeah, I don't think you're paying. I mean, in my view, you're paying for the time it takes to read a 5,000 word story, which if they read the whole thing, I'm surprised that the turnaround was that quick. But
Mhm.
you're also paying for the sort of personal advice, as in cut it below 5K, which is true. I mean, many cutoffs word counts are 5K. And so you're
Mhm.
narrowing your possibilities to have it longer. And the themed calls in mags, I'd be interested in knowing what they mean by that. But if the list that they provide you,
Mhm.
sort of expands and says this one is going to have a themed call on, something that relates to your story in like early 2026 or something. I don't know how much
Mhm.
information they have access to, but it sounds like they're the organization to be offering this service because that's their business already. The sub club chill
Mhm.
subs, nexus, is in a
Yeah.
is in the best possible position to do this kind of custom list for an add-on fee. The $75 puts it out of reach for people who maybe are new to
Mhm.
subbing, or people who don't have the cash, like students,
Yeah.
or you know
Yeah, well, I mean, really a lot of people, because if you've got five stories and you think, oh, I want
$75 a
to
story.
find
Yeah.
out, then $75. We should say if you're a member, it goes down to 50. So it's a little better, but still
It's
pricey.
still an investment. Yeah.
Yeah. And, again, for the quality of this sort of personalized recommendation based on my story, if they're feeding the story into AI and it's spitting this out and they've got good, kind of data going in, so you've got good data coming out,
Hmm.
and you can automate a lot of this stuff, I have no problem with that. And then you
Yeah.
can lower the price considerably.
Yeah.
And there is another service out there where you can send them a story, they will read the story, and they'll basically do this.
Yeah.
They'll give you a little bit more detail around the story and that kind of thing, and maybe a bigger list of where to send it. But I looked into that and that was like $250.
Yeah. Interesting. Was that a while ago? Like how many months?
Maybe about 6 months ago, four or
Oh, okay,
five.
so not that long ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. I mean, I submitted a story once, and like more than once, but it was probably a couple of years ago. We were still in the house, and I paid an add-on. It was $5 to get
Mhm.
feedback on the story. And I think they just prioritized their slush pile so that the people who pay the $5, they read those first.
Yeah.
And they sent me a very clear, not overly prescriptive, but just some feedbacks about
Mhm.
like a maybe a 4 sentence paragraph on the story in within
Yeah.
24 hours. So it can be done. And that story was only 2,000 words. I deliberately put it
Yeah.
2,000. I worked like a bastard to get it under 2,000 so I could sub to places that only wanted 2,000 words or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and there are a lot of places for an extra fee, and now that fee is going up and up and up. So it's
Mm.
more like $30, $50, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, these services are out there. I think eventually somebody's going to say, you know what, I can automate most of this
Yeah.
with a, so I'm going to do that, and then I can drop the price down
Yeah.
to like $20.
Then they get more
Um,
people. Yeah.
and then they're going to get more people. And this is, I think, a very a brand new service for chill
Yeah.
subs, SubHub. So maybe part of the reason why it was so fast is I'm one of the first to try it.
That's what I was
Um,
thinking too. Yeah.
and I did feel like, it was $75 is expensive, but I had that experience of looking into the other one that was considerably more money.
Right.
So it felt a little, maybe, in that weird comparison, I talked myself into this isn't totally horrible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think where the rubber is going to hit the road is when I send out to these 10 magazines. One, do they, if one of them turns out to no longer exist, that's
Right.
going to be,
Yeah.
two, if, you know, I don't blame, the provider here if this is the case that they're not open. but I
for
would
submissions.
if, yeah,
Yeah.
if they're not in their submission period, but if they're shut down until further notice, which you
Yeah.
find,
Yeah.
that would be a big problem, I think. And then the other, they say we lean towards university,
Yeah, that was interesting.
which is a big, big surprise because I've been trying to get away because I just felt like I haven't been having much success because you're talking about a younger cohort of readers,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. And I just feel like that's not, I'm not going to hit that crowd.
That's not
Uh,
your stuff. You're running from a mature perspective with
yeah,
real world adult stuff
yeah,
happening. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm a little curious about that. And so then, the rubber hits the road if somebody accepts it or not, right?
Yeah. I think that's a very good point. And also, I'm just thinking, um, I mean, if you did a like an inventory of the 11 titles they sent you as suggestions, how many of them are attached to universities, and also in this particular moment, many literary mags are supported by government grants, and so all of those are
Mhm.
getting pulled. So how many is the timing? Timing is the timing. I mean, nobody can do anything about
Yeah.
that. But I think what the question it raises for me is how agile is their database in that they can
Mhm.
keep up on when a literary mag puts on their website or just doesn't
Yeah.
say anything. Oh, we lost our funding, so we're not going to be around next year. This is our
Yeah.
second to last issue or whatever. They won't necessarily say that. I would
Mhm.
if I were them, but so I'm
Yeah.
just curious about that aspect because it's dealing with a real world situation that nobody has any control over.
Right. Yeah, and so that gets into how good is their curating of the list.
Yeah.
And I've definitely gone there, so I'll get the weekly email. And again, it's really worth it, for five
Yeah,
bucks.
for sure.
And I'll see something and I'll think, okay, this looks like it might be a good fit. And then you go there and sometimes every now and again they're just done. Sometimes they say until further notice, we're not accepting submissions. So it
Oh,
feels like that's something they should be on top of, but
yeah,
it would be very hard to do because there's so many of these magazines. So
it would. It would. And you can't rely on AI to do that kind of search because it returns wrong
Mhm.
information all the time. So
Yeah.
that would be somebody actually going to the website and seeing and then
Yeah.
updating the database on the regular, um, which would be a massive undertaking because I feel like there's more than dozens of literary mags. You know far better than I do, but
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say hundreds and then have it turn
yeah.
out there's like 90. But I mean there's lots and lots and lots of them. I'm constant and there's new ones being, brought forth all the time.
Wow. Okay, so Poets and Writers lists nearly 1,000.
Wow.
Um, Online directories list over 5,000 active markets for fiction, poetry, and nonfiction. So that's a little different than literary mags.
Mhm.
One source. Why am I reading AI to get this information? But Poets and Writers, to me, they're a legit source of info, and
Yeah.
they have almost 1,000 literary mags in their database.
Yeah.
And they
And
tend US centric because they're US publication.
yeah, well, yeah,
They have
well,
international, but
the
yeah.
other nice thing about this group is there's a lot of Europe, Ireland, Canada is fully represented.
Oh, great.
So and I've had better luck in Europe than I have in the US. So, I like that international uh ability to find those magazines too.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually really like Poets and Writers database as
Yeah,
well.
no, that's a great, great searchable database for sure.
Oh, and the other one I was thinking of was Duotrope. That's the one where
Mhm.
you have to know what you're looking for. See, this difference with the service you just bought. Is it Subhub or Subclub?
Well, there's Sub Club, I think it is.
Okay.
Um, I,
We'll put
definitely.
it in the links.
Yeah.
But the difference is that you're not they're doing the work that if you were using the Poets and Writers or the Duotrope database that you would be doing. So for writers who haven't submitted much, that first culling of the list of potential places to send your stuff is an
Mhm.
enormous undertaking. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't even write short stories very often. I've written like 5 of them in the last 10 years, and they're not very good. But when
Well,
like, I mean, I know my own strengths and weaknesses. I'm more of a long form writer, but the thing I found completely, I guess, sort of a deterrent was the fact that I would have to know a lot more than I do know about the literary magazine, and then I would
Mhm.
also need to have a bunch of, a bit of variety in length and of the stories and so on if I was going to submit on the regular.
Mhm.
I'd have to have some money because some of them charge. A lot of them don't. It's like $3 or it's free or
Yeah.
whatever, but many of them do charge quite a bit. And that in itself was and they don't really pay. Many of them don't pay, or they pay in
Right.
copies, or they pay a nominal fee. So all of those put together made me think, well, it's not my it's not my artistic strength, so I'm not going to bother.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't make sense for
Yeah.
me to
It's a
try.
heavy lift,
Yeah, that's a good
and
way to put it.
yeah, and duotrope is great, but you're right. You've got to know, what you're looking for, and it's about you finding it. Whereas this is about somebody finding it for you. And
Yeah.
this brings up something that you said. So when we were talking about this segment before we started recording, we were like, okay, how do we expand on this? How do we think about it more broadly for
Yeah.
creatives? And you said something that I thought was really, really brilliant, which
Oh my
is
God.
that this kind of service does the legwork of an agent for somebody without having to have an agent, right?
Actually, yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's actually really, really true and really brilliant because an agent is going to have that awareness of the market and say, here's where this story can go.
Yeah.
Uh, the next piece of an agent is that they also have contacts at the New Yorker and else, the
Yeah.
big places, so you have a better chance. But this helps you narrow your focus, which is
Hmm.
always really helpful. You can pay more and get a bigger list.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, and this is another good question. Say I go through these magazines or these literary journals and they all say no. How do I get the next 10?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not sure about that. Um, but we were talking about, for other creatives, and I think, another domain of creativity is acting.
Hmm. Yeah.
That requires a lot of pitching and a lot of putting yourself out. And you
Yeah.
look, there's these online platforms
Yes.
for
Yeah.
audition.
Exactly. There's one backstage, and I got on there and I was like, oh my God, it's like the duotrope for actors. I'm not necessarily, I don't really use duotrope, but it's just it does perform to me. It looks like it's almost like a job listing too, like almost like a Craigslist for actors, where
Yeah.
the gig is posted, the fee, where it's going to be shot, who they're looking for, what kinds of things you have to be okay with. So we looked at one listing for a that was going to show a male intimate product. I don't know, and then that
Yeah.
whoever gets cast has to be comfortable with touching each other and holding hands and stuff like that. Running your fingers through the dude's hair, and they're actually looking for couples to fill that role. Lots of couples are both in actors, because they meet each other at work. Or if it's two individuals who can read as a couple, are they comfortable with touching in that way with somebody they
Yeah.
don't actually know? But I mean, it was very, to me, it's just like, holy shit, who knew there would be this stuff?
Yeah. And there's more than that platform. And so we got to talking, where's the value add for something similar? And it's a service that culls or looks at what the available auditions are, right?
That
So it
fit you.
curates a list,
Yeah.
has AI or some way to sort of say, here are the top 10, um, you know, casting calls, and here's where you can find them, and here's the information that you need to be able to submit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would think if I was an actor, that would be awesome.
That'd be worth it. I mean, so let's say your roles that you filled in the past, say for commercials, advertisements,
Mhm.
black soccer mom. And if you could get somebody to go and find all the casting calls for Black Soccer Moms um, in the world, I mean, if you want to continue to play that kind of role, then you would probably be able to line up work for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, which is the whole point for a lot of creatives. You just want the work.
Yeah.
Uh, there's
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I think, what if you're a hand model, right? They used to do dish soap commercials where you saw was the person's hand. They've kind of gotten away from that, right? But I'm like, that's got to be pretty specific. And I'm sure they all have agents, and there's the whole world of that level of modeling. But um, there's I always think about the people singing and dancing in the Pepto Bismol commercials. Like, is that really what they want on their gravestone?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You see these people, right? And if you are like me, I'm always when I see a new movie or a show, and new actors come up, I always think, where have I seen these people before, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so sometimes you'll see somebody in a TV show, right? Like they're come on as a character on Friends.
yeah.
And then, next thing you know, they're doing some advertisement. And for 20 years or 30 years, there's some woman who's doing these insurance commercials who I think she's been doing them for like 30 years,
Right. Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
is her career. And she's probably rich as fuck.
Probably
And
paid off her mortgage a long time ago.
oh, like, well, and probably 10 other mortgages. I mean, it's like if I was an actor, I mean, I guess you have your goal of do I want to be, the movie star, da 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 da. Do I want to be a really busy character actor,
Mhm.
or do I just want to make a bunch of money doing this silly acting thing, and then I can be in regional theater and do all the,
Yeah,
stuff that
true.
that I can do.
There, yeah, there's a million ways to skin a cat in terms of what you want out of your life. And so anyway, to get back to the idea of having somebody who isn't an agent provide a service where they can make your life a little easier by curating
Mhm.
the gigs or submissions, if it's a story or whatever that you're trying to get your work out there as. I think I'm for it. I'm
Yeah,
saying this is a good thing,
yeah.
and that I think this is a good organization to do it in terms of the stories. I don't know if anybody's doing it for acting, but I think you're right. I mean, if we can see that there's a gap in that market, I'm sure somebody's filling it that's
Yeah.
already up on that field.
Yeah, and if they aren't, they should. And
Uh,
again, I have no problem with AI doing this. But
yeah,
you are absolutely right that we need to be very aware of what's happening to our intellectual property to make sure it's not escaping. This is I have this task that is repeatable and manual of trying to find, literary magazines to submit to. So
hmm,
why not automate that as much as possible to make my life a lot easier? And that's going to grow my capacity
right,
as a writer
yeah,
and has the potential to, obviously lit magazines don't pay a lot, but it does have the potential to bring in more income if
yeah,
I'm,
because I mean, it's like a food chain. You're in. Let's say the outcome is that you start placing more stories in more lit mags. That then increases your credibility, increases your sort of interest to agents for when you do have your book done. Then it's just beefs up everything. And so that capacity building aspect of using, and we don't, just to be clear, we don't know that AI is even involved, period. I mean,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
assuming, but
We do have a question into them. So,
yeah, which is, and we'll keep exploring that. But I think you're right. The value of freeing up the time you would have spent doing something that is fairly administrative and repeatable and kind of can be onerous and take a lot of mental power. Actually, that's what I found about trying to figure out who to sub to, because I hadn't done it for very often, was the amount of mental power it took. And that stops you from having the time to write new stories, or you know work on your other shit. So I think it's a good move. I'm just gonna go out on a limb.
Yeah.
But you're right. The proof will be in whether any of these mags actually like that story or ask for different work if they don't like that particular story.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, or worse, they're like, "What were you thinking submitting to us?"
That would be a good note to get too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
In the context of this
That would
investigation.
let us know how effective their analyses are.
Yes.
But,
All right. Well, good luck. Let me know what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll revisit this. You know, I'll send out, and once the feedback starts coming back, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Awesome.
Good luck.
Thanks for listening to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere else you like to listen to your podcasts. Please hit the share and or subscribe button. We're free, always going to be free, and would love to have you. And it really does help. Thank you, and have an awesome day.